Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to a Marathon Wednesday. And for those of you going, what's a Marathon Wednesday? Well, Marathon Wednesday is the day where we take on the big catalogues. Anyone that's had more than 13 albums gets done on a Wednesday because they're a big one, and we only do the one show on a Wednesday because there's lots to do. And today we have got someone that I know a lot of people have been sort of asking for since he sadly left us in January, and that is the guitarist, the one and only Mr. Jeff Beck. Started off in the Yardbirds, of course, went on to front the Jeff Beck group, worked with Boga and a piece. Just made some amazing music. He did dabble in electronica, jazz fusion and all sorts, but he had this unique way of playing. When you get people like Brian May who are in awe of Jeff Beck, that just shows what a talent he was. Ranked in the top 5 of Rolling Stone's greatest guitarists of all times. Has won Grammys for Best Rock Instrumental Performance 6 times, Best Pop Instrumental once. He received British Ivor Novello Award for Outstanding Contribution to British Music. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, once with the Yardbirds in 1992 and then as a solo artist in 2009. Okay, I'm going to do the 14 albums which include the Jeff Beck group today, but I'm going to do his collaborations another time because he's done some great collaboration work as well. So today we're just going to concentrate on his solo albums and the Jeff Beck group. So 14. So quite a big one today, so here we go. So coming in at number 14. This is the 8th album, released in 2000, and it's called You Had It Coming. Now on here we've got Jeff Beck, of course, on the guitars, Jennifer Batten on guitar, Imogen Heap on vocals, Aidan Love on programming, Steve Alexander on drums, and Randy Hope Taylor on the bass. Now this is an album that I'm not particularly fond of. It has got a couple of highlights, but there's a reason. So the first track on here is Earthquake. Love the riffs. They're pretty cool riffs, but I don't like the techno nonsense. I don't know what gave him the thought, I'll do some techno, but it didn't really hit it off for me. Roy's Toy, once again, Jeff's guitar playing is good, but it just doesn't fit with the rest of the track. I'm sorry. Dirty Mind, again, I just like the guitars, but it's the other rubbish that comes with it. Rolling and Tumbling, which is a Muddy Waters track. And you thought, what's he going to do with this? And as much as he plays the guitar stuff great, the rest of it is ruined by... I hate that sort of techno drumming. It's got nothing to do with music in my idea. Nadia, ditch that horrible drum beat and you've got a really good song. But the rest of it is terrible. I hate that 2,000 mile an hour drum beat. It just does not do me... It doesn't do any favours to anybody. Loose Cannon. Now this one isn't too bad actually. I don't mind this one, although it's a little bit industrial. It's got some proper drums in it that fits the guitar work. It's not so bad. Rosebud, again, love the guitar, hate the drum machine. Left Hook, worst track on the album. It's probably one of the worst tracks Jeff Beck has ever done. Blackbird, nice little bit of guitar, but that's it. And Suspension, Best track on the album, some great guitar playing, some proper drums as well. Now what can you say about this album? Jeff, guitar work, amazing. But the techno dance stuff, no. I don't know what he was thinking. Was he trying to be relevant and get the kids involved? But bless you, Jeff, you didn't have to do this. Bit of a blip, but hey-ho, we all make mistakes. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10 purely on some of the guitar licks from Jeff. Okay, then coming in at number 13, we have the 7th album released in 1999. Who else? Again, we have got the techno in here. We got Jeff Beck, Jennifer Batten's back, Mark Johns is on guitars, Tommy Himmes is on keyboards, Jan Hammer's on keyboards, Simon Wallace on some synthesizers, Steve Alexander makes an appearance on a bit of drums like Manu Katché, Randy Hope Taylor's on here, Pino Palladino on bass, Bob Loveday on violin, and Clive Bell on flute. First track on this is called What Mama Said. I'm all I'm going to say about this, it's not very good. Jeff's guitar playing is always good, but the whole of the track is absolute dire. There's nothing for me. Psycho Sam, I just don't like this at all. There's nothing good about it. The guitars don't even sound right. Then we have Brush with the Blues, which is a live track. Yes, it's a live track, but it's the best track on the album. Some great blues from Jeff. Can't knock that one. Blast from the East isn't too bad. It's got a proper drum in it, I suppose. And Jeff's making the guitar sing. Space for Papa. The riff on this is good. The drum sound doesn't sound too bad, and it's one of the better tracks on this album. Angel in brackets Footsteps, quite ambient. I don't mind the guitar on this. I sort of tolerate this. Then we get THX 138. Some good guitar on here, but the rest of the track I do not like. Hypnotica, quite atmospheric. Don't mind this one. It is listenable. It doesn't give you a headache. Even Odds, the best studio track on this is a more sort of a modern bluesy thing. Declan, another a great track on here. Some nice bluesy guitar, and then another place. There's a bit of wah-wah guitar on that. It's all right. What do I think of this one? Well, it's still got a bit of a techno, but there are 1 or 2 better tracks on here, so I shall give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Coming in at number 12, we have the 9th album, just called Jeff. So, joining Jeff on this is Saffron on vocals, Andy Rowland on vocals, Ronnie O'Connor, the comedian, and Nancy Sorrell, wife of Jim Wire, known to us as Vic Reeves. So the first track is called So What. Must have the most annoying drum beat in the world, but again, I do like the guitar work. It's really good. Plan B, this isn't too bad. There's a proper drummer on this, no machine. And it's got some nice little licks from Jeff. Porcupine. This reminds me so much of Chrome. It's industrial. It's not too bad. Then we get Seasons. Starts off really bad. And then it's mellow. It's not too bad. You got Ronnie O'Connor doing some sort of vocal on it, if you call it a vocal. Trouble Man. My favourite track on here, okay, it's got a drum machine on it, but the riffs are good, they're dirty, they're loud, the solo is brilliant. It's just a really good piece of guitar work, and it is one of my favourite, and it's one of my favourite tracks, actually, by Jeff Beck. Okay, Grease Monkey. This has got Nancy Sorrell on it, and yeah, it's terrible. Hot Rod Honeymoon. The guitars are alright, the vocals are rubbish, the drum machines are crap, and we'll leave it at that, shall we? Line Dancing with Monkeys. Okay, you've got that techno drumming, but the bluesy guitar is pretty good. JB Blues. It's a modern beat with some great blues guitar. Pay Me No Mind. I like Jeff's guitar work a bit, but the rest of it's shockingly crap. My Thing. Whoever told Nancy Sorrell she could sing should pack up and just don't bother. Bulgaria. This is a traditional song. I've heard it played by many people, but it's really good. I like that track. Why Lord Oh Why. I don't know if this is referring to this album, but it's quite atmospheric and ambient. It's not too bad. Okay, this album is a bit of a mixed bag. It's got some really good tracks on it, but then once again there's some absolute shockers. So I shall give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 11, we've got the fifth album from 1985, Flash. Okay, this was the one that was produced by Nile Rodgers, which we did the other week. And on here we've got Jeff Beck, Jimmy Hall, Ross Stewart appears on here, Karen Lawrence, Jan Hammer, Tony Himas, Dwayne Hitchens, Robert Sabara, Carmine Apiece on drums. Nile Rodgers appears on here as well. He writes quite a few of these songs as well. First track is Ambitious. This is not like all typical Jeff Beck, but it's really good. You can tell Nile Rodgers is involved. It's not a bad track, actually. I can't complain about that one. Gets Us All in the End. I really find some of the guitar work on this pretty good. But I mean, even the drum machines sound in sync. But then again, when you've got Nile Rodgers involved, you know you're not going to get anything second rate. Escape. This is written by Jan Hammer. I like Jan Hammer. I think he's a good musician. I like how he's worked with Jeff on this. It's pretty good. And then we get a cover, People Get Ready, which is a Curtis Mayfield song. And it's nice to see he's got his old mate Rod with him. It's a really good track. I like this song anyway, and I like Rod singing on this. It's pretty good. Stop, Look and Listen. Not my favourite track. It's too funky for me. It's a typical sort of Nile Rodgers sort of chic sort of track. Doesn't sort of suit Jeff, that one. Get Working. It's another track I don't like on here. Ecstasy. Not too bad. It's a sort of a 80s rock pop, and I can sort of, yeah, it's pretty good. Night After Night. This isn't too bad. It's got some nice guitar work from Jeff as ever. Then you got You Know We Know, very soulful, some brilliant guitar work here from Jeff. I don't mind that one. As I said when I was doing a review of Nile Rodgers, this is not my favourite Jeff Beck album, but it's a listenable one. I don't mind listening to this one. It's well produced, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 10. 1989, sixth album, Jeff Beck's Guitar Shop. On here we've got, joining Jeff, we've got Tony Himas on keyboards and Tony Bozio on drums and percussion. Guitar Shop. I love the guitar work on this, it's brilliant, but I hate that irritating voice. It's a bit like, remember Max Headroom, and it just doesn't feel right. Savoy. Great guitar work, but I just don't like the 80s keyboard sound. Behind the Veil. Bit of reggae groove on this. It's a nice track. I like that one. It's a pretty cool track, that one. Then we get Big Block. I love this. The bass line is brilliant. There's some great guitar on here from Jeff. It's a great groovy blues number. Best track on the album. Where Were You? Love this. It's a pretty cool track. Some great guitar work here again from Jeff. Well, there is on most of these tracks. Stand On It. Oh, the riffs on this are brilliant. Get rid of the keyboard nonsense. It's that 80s sound that I just don't like, but I like the rest. Though I can sort of tolerate the keyboards on that one. Day in the House. Worst track on the album for me. It's just 80s nonsense. Not into that at all. Two Rivers. One of the better tracks on the album. Just a solid rock track. Some great work from Jeff. Just how the textures he gets on these tracks. And then we get Sling Truck. This is a great little rock track. I really like that. This may a lot of people think this is a great album. It's not a great album. It's a good album. It has got a few of that 80s sound, but it's in the top 10, and it's certainly one of the better albums that Jeff put out in the 80s. And there's a little bit of inconsistency on this, that's all. But on the whole, you know, it's got some great little numbers on here. So I should give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. Little sip of coffee. Okay, coming in at number 9, we got a 1972 now, and the final studio album from the Jeff Beck group. And it was the second of 72 as well. And on here we've got Bobby Tench on vocals, Jeff Beck, of course, on guitars, Max Middleton on the keyboards, Clive Chapman on bass, and the one and only Mr. Cozy Powell on the drums. Okay, first track on here, Ice Cream Cakes. I love this. There's two things I love about this. It's Cozy Powell's drumming. Now, when you think of Cozy Powell, you think of the great power in the crash bang wallop heavy stuff. But this is a different side of Cozy. Very intricate drumming from our Cozy. Great bass line here from Clive Chapman. Bobby Tench's vocals are fabulous, and you just got Jeff gliding in and out of the song. Then we get Glad All Over, which is the 1957 song by Carl Perkins. This is alright, and not a bad version, but I do prefer the original. Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You, which is a Bob Dylan song. Same old story, better than Bob's. And I like that. Really good. The Sugar Cane, written by Steve Cropper and Jeff Beck. It's a little bit funky. I quite like that. It's quite a groove to it. I Can't Give You Back the Love I Feel For You. I think some of the nicest guitar work on this album from Jeff is just absolutely brilliant. Going Down. It's a cross between a funky and a blues song. It's pretty good. Then we get I Got to Have a Song, written by Stevie Wonder. But leave it to Stevie Wonder to do. Highways, my second favourite track on this album. Absolute dynamite, classic track from Jeff. The playing on here is brilliant. You've got the great sound of the drums, Cozy. Some terrific licks from Jeff. Fantastic. Then my favourite song on here is definitely Maybe. All the different guitar textures on here are fantastic. The piano playing is brilliant. It's just a brilliant song from Jeff Beck. I like this album a lot, but I do prefer some of the others. It's just a great album. Play this a lot, even though it's at number 9 in my list. So I will give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we come up to more modern day now, and his 10th album, released in 2010, and it's called Emotion and Commotion. Joining Jeff on here, we've got Joss Stone, who sings a couple of songs, Imelda May does, Olivia Safe does, keyboards are done by Jason Rebello, Pete Murray on keyboard and orchestral arrangements, Vinnie Colholtra on the drums, Clive Dreamer does some drumming as well, Earl Harvin drums as well, we've got Alessia Mattia drums, Chris Bruce on bass, Pino Palando on bass, and the very, very talented bass player Tal Wilkenfeld. Young lady is an absolute killer bass player. Now this is a mixed album of covers and stuff that's done. The first one is Benjamin Britten's Corpus Christi Carol. Only Jeff Beck can take this and turn it into an amazing rock track. Absolutely brilliant interpretation of this piece of music. I love it. Then we get Hammerhead. This reminds me so much of Jimi Hendrix, but what makes this is this young bass player called Tal Wilkenfeld. There's plenty of videos of her live with Jeff, and it's brilliant. What a bass player. Her bass work on this is brilliant. Jeff Beck is just electric, and you know, Jeff Beck wouldn't have these people playing in his band if he didn't think they were good. Never Alone, So Gentle, a great bass line from Tal again. Some nice keyboards on that, very atmospheric. Over the Rainbow, a wonderful version of this. Jeff again makes that guitar sing. Then we put my favourite track next. Now, this is featuring Joss Stone. I Put a Spell on You. Great song composed by Jay Hawkins. There's some really good versions of this, but I think Joss Stone's a fabulous singer. And they've done this so much justice. We've got her really strong vocal and Jeff's amazing guitar work. Great track, my favourite track on this album. Then we got Serene, which features Olivia Safe. Love this song, it's so gentle, and a lovely vocal from Olivia. Great guitar playing. Then we get Lilac Wine. Now, Lilac Wine is a track from Theatre Review, but it was made famous by Elkie Brooks. And Imelda May does a great job of that, and I do like it. It's a brilliant track. Then we get Nessa Dorme by Puccini. Oh, what can you say about this? Jeff Beck, this is what makes him the king of the guitar. It's the way he plays that guitar, and I've watched him do this on stage. It's just brilliant. I love this. I love how he interprets some of these classical tracks. I can listen to that track all day, the way he plays it. Brilliant. Then we have another track featuring Joss Stone called There's No Other Me. Great song. Joss Stone is a fantastic singer. We'll be doing something about Joss Stone in a Ladies' Day, because she's got such a great vocal range on this track, and the solo on here from Jeff is amazing. Then we got Eulogy for Dunkirk, which features Olivia Safe again. Once again, Jeff does a wonderful job on this performance. The guitar work on this is out of the top drawer. You can see why this is the guitarist. Again, Olivia's vocal is brilliant. Now, a lot of people don't like this album, but I think this is a brilliant album. There's not a bad track on here. Even the covers are brilliant. I love listening to this album. It's ambient, and I do like listening to this, without a doubt. And I will give this an RTO ranking of 8.4. Okay, then coming in at number 7, another album from the Jeff Beck group. It was released in 1971, and it is Rough and Ready. On here it's Jeff Beck, of course, Bobby Tench, Max Middleton, Clive Chanman, and Cozy Powell. First track on here is called Got the Feeling. Love this track. Once again, it shows the amazing drum skills of Cozy. The vocal from Bobby Tench is brilliant, thrown in with some great guitar work, an absolutely belter of a track. Then we get Situation. Now this is really one of these jazzy sort of fusion rock tracks. Sublime guitar playing, great drumming from Cozy on this. That bass from Clive is just terrific. What a good track that is. Short Business, a great solo. That's all I'll say. It's just, I love the track and a great solo. Short track, but just pretty cool. Then we get a thing called Max's Tune. This has got some superb piano playing by Max Middleton. Very underrated musician. Has played with lots of people, and I think it was nice that Jeff said, "Go on, Max, go for it," and he did. Great track. Then we get my favourite track on here, I've Been Used. Now this is one of my favourite Bobby Tench vocals that he did while with the Jeff Beck group. It's just awesome. A great guitarist and a great vocalist. Fantastic track. Then we get New Ways and Train. Love Cozy's drumming on here. I mean, you know I love Cozy Powell. Then Colin's bass line on Train Line is fantastic. Good track. Then the last track, Jody. This is one of them sort of jazzy sort of tracks. Again, you know, Jeff's range. He can rock, he can blues, he can play jazz. There's nothing that this guy can't do. Even his techno guitar work. It's just an excellent stuff from Cozy again. Great album. Fine performance by Cozy Powell on this, along with Jeff. I love playing this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, then coming in at number 6 is the 11th and final studio album by guitarist Jeff Beck of his solo stuff. Although he did make 18, which we've talked about before, but this is the last one that goes down in the book as a solo album, and it's called Loud Hailer from 2016. So joining Jeff on here, we've got Carmen Vandenberg on guitars, Rosie Bones, a fantastic vocalist, Davide Solzi on drums, and Giovanni Pilotti on bass. Now, Rosie Bones is an incredible singer. I don't know where Jeff found her, but boy is it good. The first track on here is called The Revolution Will Be Televised. I love this. Now this is Rosie Bone doing some whispering. It's so Gilly Smith. But she's done it, it's wonderful. The guitar work from Jeff on this is just mind-blowing. Then we get my favourite track on here, and it's one of my favourite tracks ever by Jeff Beck, Live in the Dark. I love this. It's a bit more modern, a little different. Some great riffs, a great solo. And Rosie Bones, what a vocal on this. Terrific track. Then we get Pull It. Love the start of this. Deep, dark riffs, heavy for Jeff. This is a really heavy track. Very industrial, Very, very good track. Thugs Club comes next. Really good vocal from Rosie on this. What a talent. Some strong riffs. Scared for the Children, very atmospheric rock track. Some heavy riffs, some nice delicate touches, and a brilliant solo. Right now this reminds me of White Stripes. That great riff, the drumming's good, and a great vocal from Rosie. Shame, very jazzy blues, and then Rosie sort of changes the vocal range again. It's a gentler sounding vocal, and it's brilliant. Then we get Edna. It's just a very short 1 minute bit, but it just comes up that is why he is the player. Very good. The Ballad of Jersey Wives, my second favourite track on here. It's just an awesome rock track with dirty riffs. Then we get Oil, can't get enough of that. Sticky. One of the weaker tracks on the album, but it's still not too bad. A bit funky from Jeff. Then the last track is called Shrine. Probably the best vocal from Rosie. She's got the vocals on this album are terrific. And it's some sort of sad. This is the last track of a solo album we ever got from Jeff. We don't really count the Johnny Depp thing. But this is a great way for the governor, as Brian May called him, to sign off. I mean, at the time we didn't know this would be Jeff's final solo album, but what a way to go out. A terrific album. I love it. It's one of the heaviest albums, and I think Rosie Banks is an absolute killer of a singer. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay, then coming in at number 5, got the 4th solo album now from Jeff, released in 1980, and it's called There and Back. On here we've got Jeff, of course. Iain Hammer's on the keyboard, so is Tony Himas. The ever talented Simon Phillips, who pops up everywhere on this channel, on the drums. Mo Foster, again, another bass player that seems to turn up on a lot of albums. So the first track on here is called Star Cycle. I love this for 2 reasons. The keyboard work from Iain Hammer. Oof. The guitar stuff on here. Some of the guitar work on this reminds me of some of the guitar work that Jeff did on Cozy Powell's Tilt. Absolutely brilliant track. Too Much to Lose. Again, we got that combination of Iain Hammer and Jeff Beck with the drums of Simon Phillips. Great track. Fine musicians on here. Mo Foster as well. It's just a great track. You'll Never Know. Mo Foster's bass line is terrific on this. Brilliant, brilliant track. Let me get my favourite track on here. It's called The Pump. The bass line from Mo is brilliant. The solid drumming from Jeff. It's just brilliant. Great guitar work on that as well. Absolutely brilliant. El Becco. This is very jazz fusion here. I like this track. The Golden Road. One of the gentler tracks on the album. It's pretty nice. Some nice guitar work on that. Then we get a little thing called Space Boogie. It's one of those jazz fusion tracks. The keyboards on here are from Tony Himas, who's a brilliant keyboardist himself. Simon Phillips again is on fire, and then you get delicate guitar bits from Jeff on that one. The final piece, Jeff is on fire. The tones he gets on this track are amazing. Good track to end the album. I love the gentleness and textures within the rock stuff. Really, really good. I think this is one of the most underrated Jeff Beck albums. It's got some great playing on here. It's got a bit jazz fusion on it, and it's all worked well. And fine musicians to back him up. So it's a solid album. I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Coming in at number 4 then. Now we're really getting into the tough albums here. They're all, I mean, they're all good. It's just really hard to rank these. This was from 76 and it's called Wired. Joining Jeff on here, we've got Max Middleton on the Honor clavinet, the Fender Rhodes electric piano, very iconic 70s keyboards. We've got Jan Hammer on synthesizers, Wilbur Bascom on the bass, except one troop, Narada Michael Walden on drums, Richard Bailey plays drums on it, and also we've got Ed Green doing some more drumming. Lead Boots, I love this. I think it's a funky, gritty, edged rock track. Brilliant track. Come Dancing, love the bass on this. It really drives the song along. You've got some extra drumming on here, so you've got this 2 drummer sound. It really works. You can pick them both up, throw in some great little licks from Jeff, and it's a great track. Then we got my favourite track on here, Goodbye Pork Pie Hat. I just adore this track, one of my favourite tracks. Just missed out on my top 10 of songs as well. It's just an amazing piece of music, written by Charlie Mingus, but absolutely brilliant version. Head for the Backstage Pass, bass line from Wilbur on this, brilliant. You don't get many sort of bass led tracks like this. The drumming on this is brilliant from Richard Bailey, and I love the funky guitar from Jeff. Then we get Blue Wind, written by Jan Hammer. Tell it's written by Iain. The drumming at the start of this is great. Then lovely keyboard sounds from Iain. The lighter guitar work on this, very, very good. Then we get Sophie. More of that jazz fusion. I love it when Jeff goes on to a bit of a jazz fusion thing. The bass line is terrific. Great track. Play With Me. I just love that electric piano sound on here. It's such a great instrument. Solid track. Love this next one. Love Is Green. The piano work is gentle. Some nice acoustic sounds on this. Great solo from Jeff. Great way to end this album. Solid album from Jeff. Love the jazz fusion on this. I can play this. I love playing this. And I'll give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Coming in at number 3 is Blow by Blow from 74. And it's the second album credited as a solo album to Jeff. And on here he's got Max Middleton on the keyboards, Phil Chin on bass, Richard Bailey again on percussion. Now, an uncredited appearance by Stevie Wonder on the clavinet, but he is playing on it. First track is called You Know What I Mean. Great track, absolutely killer track. I like the guitar work on this. The bass line's good, the drumming's great. Then we get a cover version of a Beatles song, She's a Woman. A little bit different from the original, but it's still a good version. Then we get a track called Constipated Duck. Brilliant. Love the guitar work on this from Jeff. Absolutely short little ditty, but brilliant. Then we get a track called Air Blower. One of them great jazz fusion rock tracks again. Sometimes you wonder if they just plug in and go and see what happens. I do like the sudden change of tempo in this as well. Great track. Scatterbrain. More jazz fusion here, with a little bit of prog thrown in as well. Some great guitar work from Jeff on this. Terrific track. Then we got Cause We Have Ended as Lover, written by Stevie Wonder. Great track, great solo from Jeff. Then we have the track Theonis, which actually Stevie Wonder plays the clavinet on, and you know it's Stevie. It's got this unique way of playing. It's a great track. The richness of that funky sound, brilliant. Freeway Jam. It is a jam. I'm sure this is a jam. There's make it up as you go along, and it's brilliant. Then we get Diamond Dust. I love this. It's my favourite track on the album. I just got that bluesy jazz feel to it, and the solo in this is terrific. Great way to end the album. Now this is a lot of people's favourite album by Jeff, but it's definitely worth the top 3 place. I love this album. Again, a solid album, top to bottom. I do play it a lot, but I'd say out of all the albums that goes as a solo album for Jeff, it is the best solo album he made. So the top 2, this was tough. Changed it so many times, but I had to listen to these 2 over and over again, and I kept changing it, but in the end I had to stop because the reason I did this my top 1 is because it's got my favourite track on. So if you know what that is, you must do, because you've watched the Jeff Beck's tracks tribute I did, you'll get which one it is. So coming in at number 2 is the debut album by the Jeff Beck Group from 1968, and it's Truth. It's the album that introduced Rod Stewart and Ronnie Wood to us. So we got Jeff Beck on guitars, Rod Stewart on the lead guitars, Ronnie Wood on the bass guitar, and Mickey Waller on the drums. First, we get an old Yardbirds track, Shape of Things. Rod does a great vocal on this. I love this track. Then we get Let Me Love You. This is written by Jeff and Rod. What a track. One of my favourites on the album. What a bass line from Ronnie. Ronnie Wood he's not just a good guitar player. He can play the bass as well. It's absolutely brilliant. You've got that great vocal from Rod. Brilliant track. Morning Dew is the next track. Written by Bonnie Dobson. And the lyrics relate to a fictional conversation in post-nuclear Holocaust world. But it's a great version of it. A little bit different, but I love the wah wah on this. Then we get a Willie Dixon song, You Shook Me. It's quite ironic that 2 people that played in the Yardbirds have covered this in their other bands. You've got Jeff Beck doing this one, and of course Jimmy Page. That's how good it is, and I think Rod's vocal on this is great. He was such a great he's a great blues singer, is Rod. People forget that. Then we get Old Man River. I've heard 1 or 2 versions of this. This is probably one of the better ones, and the worst one is on the Spotniks album. It's not very good. Then we get a very traditional song called Greensleeves, allegedly written by Henry VIII, of course. And it's different to see Jeff Beck playing it on an acoustic guitar, but it is absolutely brilliant. Then we got one of my favourite sort of titles, Rock My Plimsoll. Ronnie Wood's bass line is brilliant. Great blues track. And then we get my favourite track on here, Beck's Bolero. This just shows what a guitar player he is. A great version of this. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's all I can say about it. Then we've got Blues Deluxe. Bit of a jam here between Ronnie Wood and Jeff Beck. Absolutely brilliant. You got some absolute great Mickey Waller drumming on this as well. It's a terrific track. And then we got I Ain't Superstitious, which is written by Willie Dixon, of course, recorded by Howlin' Wolf. I love this. I think this is the best version of this song. The guitar work is brilliant, and Jeff's guitar solo is great. Rod sings absolutely brilliant. It's his finest performance on this album. Even Megadeth have done a version of that. So there you go. Brilliant debut album. Still one of the best bluesy albums you can get. Jeff Beck, Ronnie Wood and Rod Stewart, absolutely amazing musicians, and they all went on, and the other two went on to do good stuff as well, and they all remain good friends until Jeff's sad passing. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.4. So my number one, and it was the second album by the Jeff Beck Group, released in '69, and it's the brilliant Beck-Ola. So on here, joining Rod Stewart on the lead vocals, Ronnie Wood on bass, we've got Tony Newman on the drums, and the ever talented, the man that's played on with every band in the 60s, Nicky Hopkins on the piano and organ. This starts up with a version of All Shook Up, Elvis Presley, a little bit different, but I love this version. It's got more oomph in it, and Rod sings this brilliantly. I really love that. Then we get Spanish Boots, a superb track. The bass line from Ronnie, ooh, great drum on there, and then Jeff's on fire. Absolutely a killer track. Then we get Girl from Mill Valley, written by Nicky Hopkins. Fine piano work on this. You know, he's played with The Who and he's played with the Stones, and it's just brilliant. What a great track he wrote here, and when you've got fine musicians, it's just good. Then we get a version of Jailhouse Rock. This is a different sort of version of it. It's a slower version of it, and it's a great vocal from Rod. Then we get Plinth, Water Down the Drain. Love this track. The riffs from Jeff on this, brilliant. You've got that lovely gravelly vocal from Rod. Some great drumming here from Tony Newman. Absolutely solid track. Then we get another of my favourite tracks, The Hangman's Knee. Great little rocker here. The vocal from Rod is brilliant. Love this track. There's just something about it, that driving bass line. Then we get my favourite track by Jeff Beck, and it's the Apt Rice Pudding. I just love this. Firstly, you get that great bass line from Ronnie. Tony's drumming, the engine room here, Ronnie and Tony hooked up brilliant. Nicky Hopkins, the piano on this is delightful, and then you end up with some great guitar playing by Jeff, and that's why it's my favourite track. I think it's some of his best playing ever on this. Absolutely killer track. There's not much between Truth and Beck-Ola, but as I said, I think this is only number one because it's got my favourite track ever, Rice Pudding, and Hangman's Knee, two of my favourite tracks by them. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.5. So there we go. As I said, I'm going to do the collaborations probably in May. Just to tidy up Jeff Beck, and we've done everything we can. We might do some live albums of Jeff Beck, I'm sure we'll do them at some stage. Okay, that's all for today. I'll be back tomorrow, and it's Battle of the Debuts, and we go back to the normal format where we look at two debut albums, and we're going to look at two indie bands tomorrow. Very similar sound when they started. What that is, Elbow and Athlete. And tomorrow's pick and mix, we're going to take that wander down the sidewalk, which means we are going to look at the top 10 singles from the 6th of April 1987 in America. So don't forget as well, tomorrow is live stream day and you can come and join in now. So if you're brave enough and you've got it, if you even haven't got a camera, if you just want to talk to us, come and join us tomorrow from 8. Sun's out again, so have a great day everyone. Bye for now.